Okay, so today's lesson is understanding zone two, and then which is you're dealing with primarily building the takeaway. I'm going to give you two dimensions of that down the line and face on, and how that will work up into building uh, your swing. So let me make sure that the ball is in there. See it? We can. There we go. Yeah, we can see it. All right, good. So if I was practicing, I've got here a 5-iron, but if I was practicing here, what I would be doing is with the takeaway, as I set up here, I've got the shaft on the side of the shaft or middle of the shaft on this table, which is a straight line. As you'll see, as I take that back, sun's getting me a little bit. As I take that back, that's a straight line, but you see that the head is going slightly inside, even though that this is. So if the head was going straight back, it would look like this. So the shaft would be off plane. So when I talk about the takeaway here, we don't want any roll. So we don't want, you can see the face. I don't want the face to roll. I don't want the shaft to go up. I don't want the shaft to go back here. So what I'm looking for in the zone two is that you take the club. Let me get this pointed right at the ball so you can see. So I want this club to be pointed right, this club to go straight back, and I want it to go wide as I turn my right hip back without changing posture. So I want in a zone two, as I'm building my swing, this to ride along to here where the club is uncocked. Okay, so I'm going to turn back, and then that's where I'd float to here. So it'd be zone two would be somewhere right in here, then I'd float and hit. Zone three where the club's going to get behind the hand slightly, just like this in here, and that's the difference. The main reason why I'm showing you this is because one is if I'm on this table and I'm training, you'll see that it doesn't make sense to twist my body around to lift the club up in the air, any of those crazy things. Really, all I'm trying to do is just really light with my hands and turn this all the way and feel it gently slide across the rail, which is, you'll see, as we know, is in the club head's inside the ball here, as you can see, and then as it strikes the ball, if you can see here, then it goes back to the left without me. I'm not pulling the club to the left. The side of the shaft staying on a straight line here. If I was to take the side of the shaft and push off plane would be that. Off plane would be this. So it's left. So what you're trying to do in zone two, when you do this correctly, is we're doing it, you would just be building your swing just like this. You can see. That's all zone two is. Okay? Zone three would look like this. You can see it's a very small zone three. So zone two and zone three, in my opinion, are the ones you want to take a 60-degree with and hit most of your shots to develop your swing. Because when you do this, most people will not move their right side. They just go like this, or they over twist. They don't have bad posture here. They're maybe too narrow. They're practicing like this. You know, when you do my zone two, I want it you to be wide. You can see I have a wide takeaway here, zone two, and like that. And how far? Probably the biggest mistake that I see when players are trying to develop their swing. This is a really efficient way to build your swing without rebuilding your swing. It just kind of makes sense, because if you go zone two, like we talked about here, you go zone three, and you go zone four right up the chain, you can see you're developing a plane that's going to be in definitely a gray area. If you get here early and you roll the face open, if you twist the face down, if you twist the body around, and you break zone two, this zone two, if you have a bad zone two or takeaway, then you're going to be compensating all over the yard, and you just don't have the time to do that. So we want to make this really efficient, so you can really move forward in your training and be able to work up the scale. Now, we have two things we talk about: zone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Zone 1, 2, and 3, or especially 2 and 3, are where your primary training should be. But even better than thinking of zones, a lot of time is thinking of yardage. On a zone 1, if you're just adding, because zone 1 there is no takeaway. Zone 1 it's just a little bit of wrist like this. So the ball with a 60 degree or 56 would only go 3 yards. One of the problems we have with the zones is, and it was my fault, is we don't clarify like the yardages very well. And so what I found to work much better than trying to think of zones is to think of yardages. So in zone 2, if you do this right, and what we're doing, that's a little zone 3. So zone 2 would look like this. That ball with a 56 degree is going to go no more than 10 yards. And if you don't know what 10 yards is, you should walk it, because it's going to be less than you think. 3 big steps for the most part. It's only going to fly 10 yards. A zone 3, a short zone 3, which would look, it's just barely longer than, that's just barely longer than the zone 2, and that's what it should be. This right here, that ball is only going to fly maybe 15 yards max. Okay, we don't want it to fly 20, 30, 40, 50. And that's one of the things I see players do is they're trying to hit zone 3s. One, they're way too long cocking their wrist, and they're trying to blast it up out here to the green, and they're not building anything. A zone 3 should look like this. About 15 yards max. All right? And if you do that, this is what you're doing. Every time you hit a shot like that, you're building this, the takeaway and how you're moving the club along the line. You're building all this even though you're only working to here. You're also coordinating your right side. If you watch here, it's not with the arms. It's not with the head here. It's with this whole back side. Okay, if you watch a big wide takeaway, you're building that finally to coordinate. You're also syncing in transition and developing transition and impact. So you're developing all these things in a short zone. So that's why when we talk about the ball striking chipping versus the regular chipping. Ball strike, you might have some chippers that kind of go outside and cut it, or a little bit out, that won't work really if you're trying to go up the ball striking scale. You really need to be, you'll see that it's just really efficient in the way we do it, and the club is on plane, like we call on plane, the side of the shaft the whole time. Okay, it's here, it comes back down on that plane, and it goes through. So spend a lot of time in zone 2s and zone 3s, and think of yardages. So a zone 2, maximum 10 yards. Zone 3, maximum 15 yards. So anything under that with zone 3 is fine. Anything that gets past 15 yards means you're going to be adding hit at it, punch, and acceleration, which is not what I want. Even if you had the form and you had the form right and all that, that punching and acceleration is going to try to break the club out of your hands, and you won't have that consistency. So we're looking for really good softness here. You can work on your setup. You can see, if I'm working with the iPad, which I am right now, I'm working on really good setup, really athletic. Okay, joints facing the golf ball here, wide takeaway, big right side turn here, soft in transition, and you can see I can build everything I need to build. And so that'll allow you to one day, you can see it's just a bigger motion than that, because the swing we're building is a swing. It's a short swing, so if you can't do it here, how are you going to do it way back here? And it's not going to happen. Nobody's broke that theory yet. So it's just very important. And if everybody usually has something they can use, a box, something you can put on the side of the shaft where you can just practice. The club face is pointing on the plane of the ball, and just practice. That's a zone more 4 and 5. But if I was just practicing here, you can see just like this and like that. Okay. Now, one of the questions I get, which I think is a really good question, is on the downswing angle. So this baseline that they ask is that stay when I get up here to the top? Do I try to get the shaft on this baseline, which would not be like that. What it would be is like whatever plane you're at here, the side of the shaft, remember the first plane here, they're trying to get the side of the shaft on an angle. You can see it be on an angle this way. It wouldn't come over and go down on this straight vertical line. That's not what you're doing. The angle would be coming in off this corner here, as you see. So it's coming in down about a 45 across here, and then as it catches, it rides along the baseline and goes forward. It doesn't go just all the way off plane and out either to first base or any of that stuff. What happens is when you have a really good swing, a player will have this angle coming down through the middle of their spine halfway. They hit here, and then they just ride it through, just like this right here. Another problem you'll see is people get this way, obviously, and cut across. So the baseline, you got to remember, it runs this way, but the plane from up here you're trying to take it to this corner, the side of the shaft to this corner right here, if you can see. All right, and then it would go along the straight line. You're not trying to get it here and go straight on this line. So, and most people know that because we have that. If you study our website, which I highly recommend you do, and you understand about the 3 planes we talk about, which is one where the hands are in line with the shoulder here. All right, so when the hands are in line with the shoulder here. Number 2 is like where the hands are halfway down in front of the chest and the side of the shaft is in plane with the golf bar slightly out. Okay, and then the baseline is where the club is just slightly above the hands and is slightly behind. And that's where you would see it go. And you can train for that by using your iPad like I'm doing and getting a feel for it. There's drills that we have, the conversion drill that will help you with partner training, where we hold the shaft right here and you'll train and you'll learn how to keep that club under and disciplined to the plane, which is our number 1 drill to convert that. Because I've seen players that do the training and then they'll go out here and then they'll pull the club. As soon as they get it their own shot, they'll just lose all that discipline and feel and pull it out. Whereas if you have the conversion drill, what happens is that keeps you disciplined to the plane and you can focus on depth with your hips and other things, getting your weight and your mass forward. If you're trying to do things like the advanced stuff like we're talking about with the mass forward and all that, and your shaft plane is like this, good luck. So anything where the club head is over the hands is over the top, whether it happened here or whether it happened here or whether it happened down here. That's all over the top. So what we want is we want that discipline, the side of the shaft, like we talked about, the head behind the hands, the side of the shaft angled where we want it, so then it's just one direct motion. So there's really, when you do this right, you come out of transition, there's not three planes. It's just you're keeping discipline the whole time to the plane. Okay, so you're keeping this. You're never trying to go 1, 2, 3 and all this stuff like a pump drill. You're just going through that as one straight motion. That's the goal, and that's where the conversion drill will help you. So this lesson will help you with understanding. Primarily, this is to help you understand the takeaway. There is no lifting. There is no twisting the club behind the plane like this. You know, you can see like that. The side of the shaft, not the club head. The club head does not go straight back. It would look like this. It would look like a Ferris wheel. Okay. The side of the shaft stays on this table, as you can see, as I turn my right side and get very wide. Okay. That's a zone 2, and also it can zone 3. Okay. But if you convert this and you practice hitting short shots just like this all the time, then what'll happen is, one, you'll get two for one. You'll get your wedge game in order, which is what you need to score better, and you'll be building the essential parts of your swing to really make you, get your ball striking in order. So I know this will really help you. Just remember that progression scale. I didn't go through the zones 4 and 5, but it's 10-yard increments. So you got 10 yards, 20 yards, 30 yards. You want to master that. As far as in zones 1, you would only hit the ball 3 yards. So it's literally like this. That's not zone 1. Zone 1's 3 yards. Zone 2 would be more 10 yards. Zone 3 would be maximum 15 yards, maximum. Okay? And work on that, and you'll start to see everything start to clean up for you. So anyway, have a good day.